Imagine that you're at school. The bell goes. It's time to be in your lesson. You start running down the corridor thinking, I'm going to be late. And then just ahead of you, you see your friend and they drop their bag and their stuff goes everywhere. Seriously, it's covering the corridor. You've got a dilemma. They need your help. But if you stop and help them, then you're definitely going to be late. And this teacher really hates people being late, so they're really going to tell you off. So what do? Do you stop and help your friend and get in trouble? Or do you carry on and make sure you're all right and leave your friend to pick up all their stuff and then get in trouble themselves? What would be the loving thing to do? Jesus said, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. This is the great and first commandment. And another is like it. You shall love your neighbour as yourself. On these two commandments depend all of the law and the prophets." Matthew 22 verses 37 to 40. So last week we looked at how Jesus called on us to love God, to love him completely with all of our hearts and our souls and our minds, to love him all the time in everything we're doing. And this week I wanted to look at the second of those commandments that Jesus gave, how we are to love our neighbours. So does that mean that we're supposed to love the bloke that lives next door? Well, no, and then again, yes. No, he doesn't just mean love the guy next door, and yes, we are still supposed to love him. What Jesus meant was we are supposed to love everybody. Everyone, our families, our friends, the people we're at school with, our teachers, the people we see in the street, the people we see in the supermarket, everyone. God wants us to show love to everyone who is around us. In Luke chapter 10, Jesus tells the story of the Good Samaritan. Basically, there's a man walking down a road and he gets attacked and robbed, and everything is taken from him, even his clothes, and he is left lying on the floor, battered and broken. But just then, a priest comes along. But the priest sees the man lying on the floor and actually swerves around him and carries on his way. But then just after that comes a man who serves in the temple. But he too sees the man and swerves around him and ignores him and carries on. Two men of God, two men whose job it is to serve God, have both seen this man in need and have ignored him and carried on. But then comes a man from Samaria, a Samaritan. Now at this time the Jews, they weren't very nice to the Samaritans. They were rude about them, they looked down at them. But this Samaritan, he sees the man and he stops. He picks him up, he puts him on his donkey and he takes him to a hotel and looks after him. And when it's time for him to carry on, he pays his own money to make sure the people at the hotel will look after this man. So who is it who has shown love to this man in need? Was it the two men of God? Or was it the Samaritan? At the beginning, I asked you about the person who drops their bags on the way to class. Do you carry on and not help them? Or do you stop and help them? If you choose to carry on, it might not be because you hate them. It might just be because you're worried about getting in trouble yourself. But is that showing love for them? Like in the story that Jesus told, the loving thing to do would be to put their needs before yours, to stop and help them, not worrying about if you're going to get into trouble as well. Being loving to other people is really important. So important, in fact, that in the Bible, in the New Testament alone, we are told to love one another 13 times at least. It's so important, we're told 13 times. But how can you show love to other people? Well, there's lots of simple things. If you see someone upset, Ask them if they're okay and talk to them. If you see somebody hungry and you have food, share it with them. If somebody's lost something, stop what you're doing and help them look for it. Or even simpler than that, at home, help your mums and dads. Help them lay the table for meals. Help them clear away afterwards. Help them tidy the house. Or the simplest thing of all, just make sure that you remember to tell them that you love them and say thank you for the things that they do for you. That's a really good way to show love for other people. So why is it important to show love to other people? Well, here's the thing. We're going to look at that properly on Friday. But the short answer is that when we show love to other people, we're really not showing our love for them. We're showing God's love for them. It's God's love that comes through us to other people. And good spreads. But like I say, more on God's love on Friday.